How do our children learn what to expect in the end? Not the apocalypse or end of times, but simply the results of a game, about finishing first or finishing last, about winning or losing. I assume that they learn through games like checkers or Candyland or running races or playing sports. If you do well, you're the winner. If you do poorly, you're the loser. Now, this is not a sermon against competitive games or sports. My kids played sports. My family plays games, and they will tell you I am very competitive. I root for the Royals, and I root for the Chiefs. But this sermon is about a deeper, broader issue. I think that such games with winners and losers in life plays into Christian misinformed ideas of heaven and hell, God's ultimate winners and losers. You're probably familiar with Dr. Seuss's wisdom in the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. It has one little section with these words, Oh, the places you'll go, there is fun to be done, there are points to be scored, there are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame, you'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV. Except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you. Some of what I wanted to say this morning comes from an article by Robert Wright on game theory. Some of you may know a little of game theory, but there are such things as zero-sum games. Zero-sum games are win-lose. How you do is in direct inverse proportion to how your competitor does. But there are also things that are called non-zero-sum games. Games that have a win-win scenario. Or the way that you win is not making the other person lose, but by helping them win as well. Have you heard of non-zero-sum games? There are a couple of examples of non-zero-sum games. One is called the game of marriage. You are competing with each other, not against each other, at least in the best of circumstances. Another a non-zero-sum game is the environment. Our desire to rule over it and win against the environment is so crazy. Humanity does not win by subduing and beating the environment, but by seeking the health of the environment, which then becomes a win-win for everyone. There are some non-zero-sum games that are out there that you can actually buy and play. They're games in which you aren't against the people that are there with you. You're all playing together. And I can tell you some of those games. We've got a couple of really fun ones at our house. One of the most important formative moments in the Bible is the time of exile, as I was reading in Jeremiah. I teach it to the kids. I have like 6 moments in the Bible that are very formative that we need to understand. The exile is kind of the one that gets pushed into the background, but you've heard me talk about it enough. You kind of know the story. I mean, when Babylon just comes in and destroys Israel and Judah and destroys Jerusalem, the capital city, and destroys the temple and carries a bunch of people off into exile to Babylon. I mean, people are devastated. The temple's gone. In every way that they understand it to be, their God is gone. Their God has been defeated by the Babylonian gods. There's nothing we can do. The psalmist song, how can we sing God's songs in a foreign land? Just absolutely devastated. So during this time of suffering and questions, the prophet Jeremiah gives some very odd advice from God. Things like, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. That probably goes against every instinct they have, to pray for the place where they're being held captive. Note, this is not some kind of mamby-pamby, rose-colored glasses, nicey nice, let everyone walk all over us kind of idea. We're not reversing the game into we need to lose so that others can win over us. Instead, the exile envisioned a people who are able to see life as a non-zero-sum journey, where win-win is the norm, even for those who are against us. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus has a common refrain. You have heard it said, but I say to you. In Matthew 5:38, you have heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say to you, do not resist an evildoer, but if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other also. Further on in verse 43, you have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And you have heard it said that life is a zero-sum game with winners and losers, but I say to you that it is a non-zero-sum game where all will win. Perhaps you don't remember that one, but you can read through it and see. Jesus had a different vision for being in the world. To the Pharisees who won by clearly defining and excluding the losers, Jesus said, God is with these people. And if you want to be with God, you must be with these people as well. To those who claim that salvation was only for certain Jews or certain Christians, Jesus' Spirit continued to break down barriers and bring in Samaritans, centurions, Gentiles, female leaders, Syrians, slaves, and LGBTQ folk, along with Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Taoists, Wiccans, Mayans, and the Lakota Sioux. Growing up, I played sports, and I was somewhat athletic. I was good at basketball, and I was good at running, and I was good at soccer, and I played all those sports. But my brother Ryan also was into sports, and he competed in sports, but they were something called the Special Olympics. Labeled special, which describes both the competitors, but also the entire spirit of the competition. There once was a race with 7 runners, and one of the runners fell down, and all the other runners went back to help that one up so that they could all finish across the finish line together. This is the Christian spirit of competition, where we don't win at someone else's expense, but only when we work to ensure that everyone wins. Imagine a scenario where 12 alien spaceships arrive with one hovering over each of the largest nations around the globe. Who do you think would be the first responders? Who would be in charge? Trump. Well, the military. The military is going to show up. They're going to cordon off an area and say, this is our thing to deal with, and we decide who gets to come in, who gets to try to figure out what's going on. So the military is there, and the military comes, and each nation has their own military guarding around the spaceship, trying to figure out what the aliens are up to. And what do you think the military's first inclination is about this scenario? Do you think they think it's a non-zero-sum game, or do you think this is a zero-sum game that's going to be played out? For many, it's always a zero-sum game. Whether you see it as us against the aliens, or if you see it as us against all the other nations. This is precisely the plot of a 2016 sci-fi movie called Arrival, starring actress Amy Adams. She's a language specialist called in by the United States military to figure out what the aliens' intentions are. It's pitted as a race against other nations as their militaries are trying to figure this out as well, with regular updates suggesting that we are falling behind and we may need to just blow the whole ship up. Finally, scientists discovered that responding to the alien ships requires all 12 nations to cooperate and share the information that they have to learn how to make the best use of the gift the aliens have come to bestow upon the earth. The aliens force us into a moment of cooperation beyond our borders and our competition with one another. Here again, this zero-sum wisdom from Paul in Romans 12. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, if it's possible. So far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Beloved, never avenge yourselves. Know if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Oscar Romero was once a bishop in El Salvador, said these wise words. Peace is not the product of terror or fear. Peace is not the silence of cemeteries. Peace is not the result of violent repression. Peace is the generous, tranquil contribution of all to the good of all. Peace is dynamism. Peace is generosity. It is both right and duty. Come, peace of God. Behold, I suggest this morning that Christian faith is a non-zero-sum faith. Now may we walk in the way of Jesus, who envisions a different kind of living, a different kind of winning, a different way of being in the world. Bring us healing and give us hope. Come, peace of God, and give us a vision for what is possible and how we might participate in the turning of the world toward your light, your love, your peace, and your justice, as we seek to honestly walk in the ways of Jesus the Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen.